Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you are watching this super event. And we are here together because we want to be better together, and that's why we are creating these spaces. My name is Monica Hernandez, and I am John Maxwell Leadership Team Member, Certified Team Member since 2019. On top of that, I am an engineer by trade, and we're going to talk about all that in this short presentation that I have for you today. But first of all, let me thank you for investing in yourself, for investing in your communities, and I'm going to talk to you about that during my presentation. So let's start by the title, and why did I decided to tell you my story, my personal story, through this space. When I moved from the areas of technical leadership or technical work to leadership realm, a lot of things happened to me. So when this conference was being put together, one of the things that came up to be the much importance is how do we manage our teams? How do we make our teams better? And I cannot emphasize enough, and I have said that to all my coaching and my other clients, and is you need to invest in yourself. And I'm gonna tell you why did I realize that and how did I realize that. And I'm gonna talk to you about some strategies that I have used myself that maybe are going to be of use for you. Alright, so let's dive into that. So I told you already, I was a very technical person, working in the field for many, many years, very excited about doing my engineering work. Lots of the things that we do are collaborative, but lots of the time we get to work by ourselves. And it is okay as long as you present results. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the technical people that are listening to me are saying, yeah, that was, or that is me. And what happens normally and typically, and very sadly, in our society is that if you excel in something, then they'll throw you into something else, but without proper tools, without preparation, without really investing in yourself. And that was what happened to me. So some of those struggles that I got to face when I was going through the transition mainly were because I was really good at doing technical, but I had no preparation on my soft skills. The development of my soft skills was left behind. And why is that, you will ask myself, or I ask myself. And it's because every time you have a performance review with your manager, the manager will look at the results of the projects, the budgets, how did you perform and how did you do that, less so on the human part. So we forget that yes, we are working with things and physical products, in my case pipes, vessels, materials, corrosion, and many other things. However, we are humans, we work with humans, and that those interactions, in order to make them better, you need to invest in those soft skills. So the transition, when I was promoted to be a leader or a manager at the time, I was very excited. Who isn't, right? Lots of different challenges and new things. However, and I remember talking with someone at that time and saying, oh my God, this is really overwhelming, because in the first week of work, I had a lot of people coming into my office and talk to me about their issues, their problems there. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know all this was to be any connected to being a manager. So some of the learnings that I have to share with you today come into place with that. So the first realization I did at that time is nobody is going to invest in me if I don't take that responsibility. So who is the one that wants to be a better leader? I am. Who is the one to want to be a good person to work with? I am. Whose team is the team that I want to excel? I am. So if every answer to those questions came back to me, whose responsibility it was? Me. So I needed to do a lot of investment in myself. Self-learning, reading, and then that is why I decided, okay, I need tools. And I call them a toolkit. And that's how I refer to in my training sessions or in my coaching sessions. You need to start building that toolkit. Okay? So that was one of the first realizations. One of the other realizations I had is we don't really understand communication to the full extent. And that lack of communication in a technical world will mean that you can have the best, awesomest idea in the world, but they're not going to hear it because you're not able to pass on the message. So communication was key. And I understood by realizing how the work of a leader is and then working with my team that we don't really have that. We don't really have that ability to communicate, especially when we are so technical. We get very excited with the meat of the work we are doing, and we forget that some people don't really understand, have the background, or they're not interested to know all of the details. So you need to understand all of that. So after I did that investment, the next realization I had was that it's a lonely road. So before that, when you are in a technical and you're part of the peer group, it's camaraderie, and then you have a lot of acceptance, and then it's a lot of things, friendship and things that you build with. But then when you're in a leadership position and there is no one else around you, it can feel lonely. So you have to build up the strategies to, again, in your toolkit, to get better at overcoming that feeling. So, and this picture that I'm pointing in the presentation here, I like it because the possibilities are just grand. It's a lot of things you can do. It's a lot of, you can go this way, that way, you can climb the mountain, you can walk, you can go this direction, the other way. There's many possibilities, big things that you can go achieve. But there is also some sort of, if you're not going with someone to support you, it can feel overwhelming, lonely, and it can be difficult to achieve. So that is why we want to have, just like everyone in this leadership realm, and John Maxwell included, says, we need to have a team that complements our strengths. So what is your uniqueness? And then what is the uniqueness of each person that you have in your team, and how you're building them together to go and conquer things that you want to conquer. So lots of feelings when we are doing that transition from the technical to the leadership. And just realize that when I started some minutes ago, I said manager, and now I'm saying leader. And that is what I wanted to do. I didn't want it to be the manager. I don't want to be the boss. Absolutely not. I wanted to be a leader. And that has a lot of responsibility because it's not only affecting my immediate team, but I truly believe it affects everyone that is around me and every one of them. So it's a ripple effect. All right. So what are some of those strategies? So I told you about the challenges, this and that. So what did I put in my toolkit? And I'm gonna talk about 3 things today. So the first one is embracing change, because change is part of life. Nothing, and I just heard the other day Marcus Buckingham saying the most scariest thing is balance, because it's like when people want balance, it's like, I achieved balance, nobody moves, we're in balance, yeah, I finally got it, nobody moves, and that is impossible. Physically speaking, we are in a world that moves, so being or wanting to be in a stagnant place is a little bit dangerous. So having that in mind, that you want to go with the flow, you want to change, that it makes it easier for you. And I'm going to give you an example right here. When you are on a pool and it's stagnant water and you can swim, it's less complicated, it's less difficult, it requires less oxygen, less of the effort that if you're swimming counter current on the sea. And why is that? Well, because you're going against the flow movement. So what do you want to do? If you are swimming with the waves, it is always easier, less energy required, and then you will get to shore in a less of a time with less of an effort. So that is it. If change is something that is very, very complex with you, the first thing you want to do is make peace with it. Accept that is something that is natural. Everything and anything in nature changes. Anything that is healthy in nature changes. So why do you want to be not changing and static? It's not the natural state of things. So that's the first thing, making peace with change, having a good relationship with moving through changes, and that will be a good realization to have in your toolkit. Define your values and have a strategy. That's the second point that I want to talk to you about. When you know exactly what is your crossing line, when you know that you will not accept this behavior or that behavior, then you will create that within the things that you are creating, okay? So you need to really ask yourself, what is it that is the breaking point? What is that thing that I don't want to accept? What is that thing that if it was done to me, I will feel very sad, and I wouldn't be happy, and I wouldn't progress, and it wouldn't help me personally. So what is that thing? So those are your values as a person. And then, so when you know those values and you know that strategy, then you start being that person. And what do I mean by that? For example, for those of you that are parents, we don't want any of our kids to become a robber, right? I hope. So if you don't want your kid to be a robber, don't rob. Easy. If you rob already and you tell your kid not to do it, are they gonna do it or not? Of course, because they are watching us, right? They're looking at what we are doing. So, and it's the same with leadership. If you tell your team that they need to be on time for the client's meeting and you are late all the time, what is the behavior that you are strengthening in the team? If you want to be honest, or you're asking and demanding them honesty, are you really being honest and transparent with them? And that comes down to the last lesson, or the last strategy in my toolkit that I put. And it was part of the realization that I told you before. We work with matter, we work with things, we work with the table, the wall, the pipe, the paper, the computer, but we are interconnected with people. And how are people connected to each other? By heart. So leading by heart, and that's another really powerful message that Marcus Buckingham gave. talk the other day. Leading with love is something that really is going to make a difference. So if you, and I'm going to give you an example, and he puts this in a really good way. It's not being soft, it's not being cheesy, it's not hugging everyone, because not everyone wants to be hugged, by the way. But it is just having that compassion, putting yourself in their shoes, and understand what circumstances are there that make certain situations the way they are. So, leading with love was a game changer for me, and everyone in my team really made the comment that nobody nowhere else have they felt the way they feel when they work in a team that is so cohesive. So, by the way, there is something called heart and brain coherence, and then that is studied by the Brain Institute. And the Heart Brain Institute says you have that when you achieve that coherence from your heart and brain, then you are being more conscious and you're giving more attention to what is happening. So lots of things to digest. I want to give you this quote because just wanted to make sure that we change, and then I told you I never wanted to be called a boss or a manager. The title was manager, but really my role in the world is leading. And then why I say that is because there is a tremendous difference when you want to get someone to do something and then you are demanding from them that, rather than leading, teaching, and then guiding them through so they can be their best selves. So this quote from Simon Sinek says, leadership is not about being in charge, it's about taking care of those in your charge. So we used to say back in the day, the client is always right. The client has everything, it's the client. And I changed that by the guys that work with me, the guys and girls that work with me, they are the ones that are my priority. Because if I take care of them, they will take care of my clients. If I pass on those learnings just by being myself, just by energetically getting that, being that person, that leader that they want to come to work, then that will really transpire into their own person, and then that person will transpire into that family, and that family, that kid is going to that school and is going to go to the, so do you see how it's a ripple effect, and how I say this is a responsibility? Once you step in that leadership realm, you have an extra responsibility for the world, not only for yourself. And I want to close this. My first mentor in business, she told me one day, when you are stepping into that realm of leadership, people are going to talk about you. What you are doing, how you are acting, how you are paying, how you are acting with the waiter. Are you saying hi to people? Are you waving? What's your attitude? When they see that, they're gonna talk about you at the dinner table. So guess what? Tonight is going to those people that are working with you, not for you, but with you, are going to have their families at the dinner table, and they're going to say, today it was a good day, today I learned this, today I am this new person, I learned this, I am very excited because I'm going into that. So what my invitation to you today is to ask yourself, what are they going to say tonight at the dinner table? Thank you so much.